We are Gangsta-esque. Welcome to Scared Shitless. This is a horror retrospective. If you are just joining us, we are Gangsta-esque after all. This is the show that takes a look at horror media like a premonition of lots of innocent people dying gruesomely. Spoiler warning for the entire Final Destination franchise, as today we are doing a franchise overview. I'm Ryan, and I am joined by Jamie,
Hello.
Ali,
Hello, YouTubers.
and Al.
Hey.
And we are all going to ignore Ali calling people YouTubers again. We're just going to brush past that this week. And
we're ignoring it by mentioning it.
We're ignoring it by mentioning it. I can't help myself. I cannot help myself.
So, just take it out of your head.
So anyway, the Final Destination franchise covers 5 movies in total, starting in 2000 and running all the way to 2011. Each film follows a different cast, but is the story of someone has a premonition of a horrible event in which lots of people die. This causes a group of people to survive said event, and death then comes after them and kills them in inventive and gruesome ways. That sound like a reasonable summary, guys?
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Anyone think I missed anything? Anything that's worth mentioning? No?
No,
Nah.
you've covered
No,
it.
we're good. We summed that up. Yeah. So okay, Jamie.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the episode. That's
Yeah. We're done. Join us next week. Jamie, what do you think about the concept in general?
I like the concept. You know, it's quite it was original when they first came out with it. I'd certainly never seen
Oh, that's a damning indictment. It was original when they first came out with it.
I'd never seen anything like it before.
It
This
was
was my
original
first.
until they've done it 5 times.
This was my first watch through. I'd never seen any of the Final Destination films before. So yeah, I mean the concept was pretty good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Ali, would you agree with that? Had you ever seen anything along the same lines of the Final Destination, or do you think it was original when it began?
Well, as we touched on in previous videos, I jumped ahead and saw the second one first. But when I first saw that, no, it totally took me by surprise, because at the time of being a late teen, I didn't actually know what it was. And now, during this podcast, when you told me, right, we're going through the whole franchise and getting a better perspective of it from start to finish, I think it covered a lot of bases. Just unfortunately, it's just one of those franchises that it didn't stay as just one film, which would have kept it unique. They had to keep it going.
Yeah. Okay. So you think it's a negative that they made more than one movie?
It's not so much a negative, Ryan. I just think when that kind of storyline, as we have said privately, and also with Al, it's one of those kinds of films that it only needs to be, keep it just that one sort of film, not.
I never said that.
I never said that either.
I'm saying we have touched on franchises in the we touched on franchises in the past, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I definitely feel I've been misquoted.
Yes. So, okay, Al, how do you feel about there being more than one film in this franchise? Let's start there, because we'll address...
I'm quite happy with there being more than one.
Okay. By the way, for the record, so am I. I don't believe this should have been one film, especially because I believe the first film didn't do it best. I believe the film was done better in later iterations of it. So I definitely don't think they should have left it to one film. But thanks for dragging Al and myself down there with you, Ali. Good job with that
I
one.
didn't say this franchise. I was meaning other franchises in the past
Okay.
that we've discussed on. So
So, Al, what do you think about the concept?
I like the concept, and like at the time we hadn't seen anything even remotely similar. And I think, like you and I are quite similar that we'll watch any trash regardless of how bad the film is, as long as there's something, if it's gory or it's got a monster in it or something like that, you can pretty much guarantee the two of us will watch it. So the way the people were killed in this, you could pretty much guarantee we were signed up anyway.
Very true. So that leads me on perfectly to the next thing I was hoping to discuss, which is
Segues.
films.
Boom.
Yes, you segued like a proper gangster. I did say earlier we were gangsterish. So, the kills in this franchise. Personally, I think it is some of the best kills in the horror, or at least some of the most unique. The kills in this franchise are up there with the kills we see from Freddy Krueger or we see from Jason Voorhees.
They're very inventive.
Yes, they are. So what's your we've done a video ranking the kills, so if anyone's interested, go check that out. I'll put a link somewhere, maybe, or just click subscribe, go check it. It's on the channel, go watch it. But without talking about your favorite kills or anything, just in general, how would you compare the kills in this to the kills in other horror?
I'd say, yeah, like you said there, I'm struggling to think of any other films that are more inventive, have more kills, because in these movies, generally, I know there was a couple that were a little samey, but generally, you've only got, I think you got 3 people who were run over by vehicles, 2 people were flattened by things, but other than that, everyone else was different, and some of them were unbelievably unique and unbelievably graphic. And I'm really struggling to think of any other horror movie or franchise of horror movies that is more inventive with their kills.
Yeah. Now, Jamie, you obviously haven't had the same horror experience as us to this point. In fact, your horror experience is almost just limited to the films we've covered on this channel. And I believe It as well.
And 28 days later.
And 28 days later. So with your limited horror experience, what did you think about the kills in this compared to the ones you have seen in other stuff?
Yeah, as Al said, I felt they were very, very unique, very intricate. Almost, if it wasn't Death orchestrating it, almost to the point where you couldn't have this many kills orchestrated by a single person. It would just be impossible.
If
and
the
compared
villain
to
wasn't actually Death, if it wasn't straight up, you're dealing with one of the 4 horsemen, essentially. If you're going with
for the points of the movie, you are essentially trying to cheat Death. So it is Death orchestrating the movie. There's not a character, but it's the force of Death. But it's very different to, like, say, Scream, where a guy is going to jump out and stab the fuck out of someone, or variations of that. You've got no idea what's going to happen. To someone, the next person, anything plausibly could happen to them.
Yes.
I think
that's why I think it's an interesting, franchise.
What are you going to say there?
I was just going to say, I was trying to remember the name of the screenwriter that it reminded me of, and it's Todd Farmer, who did Jason X, My Bloody Valentine, and Drive Angry.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he's sort of the only person who's kind of done things sort of similar levels of unbelievably gratuitous deaths, like going completely over the top just for the sake of it.
But I mean, the Friday the 13th franchise in general is known for some of the crazy deaths, as is the Wrong Turn franchise. If we will eventually cover both of those franchises, and those are some of the most graphic when it comes to people dying. But it is always the same, in the Friday the 13th franchise, You got a big dude in a hockey mask killing people. Now, he finds some very inventive ways to do it, but he is not death. In the Wrong Turn franchise, you've got some cannibals killing people. They find some inventive ways to do it, but ultimately they're just going to kill you and eat you, and they are not death. I suppose the other one, like I said earlier, was Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Now, he can come up with some of the most inventive ways to kill people because he kills you in your dreams, and therefore can do whatever he fucking wants. But other than those three, I would say I can't think of another franchise where the deaths are as gruesome, and I can't think of another franchise where the deaths are as inventive. So I mean, it's in good company when it comes to that, in my opinion. Ali, what do you think about the deaths? Thumbs up, thumbs down? You should have stopped at the first film.
No, as you guys know, I'm similar to Jamie, where mine is very limited to this franchise. That the genre, sorry, that's simply by personal choice, and watching these films they've sort of opened my mind to exploring them a lot more. Most definitely, I've really enjoyed this franchise. I have to say, it's
even though you thought they should have started at stopped at one.
Yeah, but that's just a personal opinion. But I have enjoyed it. Bottom line.
Okay, good. Right, I mean, the deaths totally lead into this, but in my opinion, the star of this franchise is actually none of the cast or the directors or the writers, but we spoke about in every single movie the practical effects and the stunt teams who worked on these films. I think they were absolutely outstanding, and without those guys, these films would not be even close to what they were. Even in the fourth film, which I did not enjoy, if you want to see our horror retrospective on that, go check it out. But spoilers, I thought it was shit. But even in that film, they had some amazing stunt work and some amazing practical effects. They just covered it up with bad CGI afterwards. But I mean, I can't think of another film. Well, at least I can't think of another series from that era, the 2000s-ish, where the practical effects and the stunt work even holds up. Can any of you? I mean, it doesn't have to, Jamie, or Ali, in your case, doesn't necessarily have to be a horror film. Just can you think of something from around the 2000s?
I'm looking at the library right now as you're asking that to see if I can think of any. And in all honesty, pal, I think it's the effects-wise, I'm going to probably go out on a limb here and say the Spartacus series when it comes to the deaths for the effects.
I mean, you're
they
talking
CGI
effects there. We're talking practical effects. And, I mean, the Spartacus stunt team is great because they all play out the fights, but, they've got a good stunt team, but it's specifically when it comes to fighting. All the deaths and everyone are just, like Al said, CGI to fuck. So, Al, is there
stuff, even simple stuff, like going to the extent to make a 2-ton polystyrene devil?
Yes.
For a set. Yeah. You see it for the first part of the movie, and then you don't see it. They went.
You only really see it for about. Do you not only see it for about 30 seconds or so?
No, it's on a wee bit longer than that. It's in in the background of a lot of shots.
Right. Okay.
They only actually focus on it for maybe 15 seconds.
There's maybe, as they're walking in, isn't it?
Yeah, there's maybe 15 seconds where it's right there, and the rest of the time it's just in the back of the frame. Like, it's barely even noticeable. And
so much work.
2-ton thing with a cock and balls. They properly made it. But that amount of work is outstanding. I genuinely think it is. I genuinely think the practical effects guys and the stunt teams were the stars of the franchise by a long shot.
Because it definitely wasn't the actors that were playing any of the characters.
It was
definitely not.
But speaking of the actors, we did, despite this franchise not being known for its acting, we did have a few standouts. So I would say Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the third film, who was the main star. She played Wendy. She's a good actress, and I feel she did put on a good performance in that film. Much better than everyone who surrounded her. She wasn't necessarily surrounded by the best talent. In Final Destination 5, I think Miles Fisher, who played Peter, I think he done a really good job. And in wrestling terms, he had a kick-ass heel turn. He started as a good guy, turned to the bad guy as the film went on. I think he done a fantastic job. He was also a Tom Cruise-looking motherfucker. And I think Ali Larter, who was in the first and second film as Clear Rivers, was good. In fact, everyone in the first film was okay. I think everyone in the first film and everyone
the first
in the
film had much better acting than all the subsequent ones.
Yes, as a whole. But I would still say maybe Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the best actor in the entire franchise. But she wasn't surrounded by the best people. She was, she didn't have the strongest cast in that film as a whole, but she was very good. And
what was
Tony Todd is always watchable.
Yeah, you've got Tony Todd that I just love him because he's Candyman.
Yeah.
But what was the guy called who was trying to kill himself?
George. I can't remember who played him.
Yes. I like George as well.
Yeah, he was. He also.
I thought you felt quite sympathetic towards him.
Yeah, he also played
and a
Bubba
terrific
in Forrest Gump.
Yeah, and a terrific bit of acting from the two girls in the sunbeds. But all the acting before that was just like there were two. It was too much.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, their actual death scene was brilliant.
George was played by Mike Kelty Williamson. So thanks for making me have to pronounce that name likely incorrectly. But
you are welcome.
Those two.
I mean, apart from a few standouts, it's pretty underwhelming in terms of acting.
Yes, and I would say in Final Destination 4, pretty much everyone was terrible from the start. From the start to the end, I think we're all terrible. Like, I could barely put up. I'm not saying they were good in Final Destination 2 or 3. I'm just saying in 4, it was a whole new level of worse. It's like these guys were in that film because they weren't good enough actors to be in porn. I mean, that's just true.
That is a low bar.
That is a low bar, and that's where I think they got them. They were getting kicked out of the porn offices, and they're like, "We'll take you for our movie." I can't imagine any other way that happened.
All you need to do is be killed.
So, I mean, suppose we're speaking about the kind of negatives and a lot of the acting. For me, another negative for this franchise is in the fourth one. Not really the rest, but the fourth one particularly, was the terrible 3D and the terrible CGI. What do you guys think of that? And can you think of any other really big negatives from the franchise as a whole?
Certainly, yeah. Just like you said, the 3D in 4 and to an extent in 5 as well. There were bits. I know there were bits Jamie liked that I didn't like. The mast of the boat going through one of the characters when they fall off the bridge.
Candace fell off and it killed her. Yeah.
Again, you could just tell that was designed for 3D, and it just doesn't look great. They just never look great when you're not watching them in 3D. When that's all that has been put in for.
Even when you are watching them in 3D, they're not necessarily very good.
Yeah, but it's more entertaining because you have that whole it's coming towards you sort of thing, and yeah. I do quite like that. I'll happily watch films in crappy 3D and just sit there and enjoy it because they're so over the top. But when you then watch it and it's not in 3D, it takes away that part of it, and it just becomes a really shit-looking piece of CGI.
What's your thoughts, Ali? Any other negatives, or how do you feel about the being CGI.
No, I agree with Al, with what he's saying. Just those standout 3D moments were just like very meh, you know. But hey, we know my thoughts on the fourth one, so I don't want to get.
Yeah, you enjoyed the fourth one, but we're going to discuss that.
I did enjoy the fourth one.
We're going to discuss that in a minute, very shortly, as a matter of fact. But first, we're going to get Jamie's thoughts on the 3D, the CGI, and whether there were any other negatives in the franchise.
I mean, I think they should have just kept it to their, what they were good at, their practical effects, and just left the 3D sort of bandwagon for other people to waste their time on, to be fair. I mean, I'm sure it made them loads of money. It's probably why they did it. But, it wasn't as great. The fourth one, I'd consider skipping the fourth one, honestly.
Okay. Well, that takes us into, we're going to discuss how we rated the franchise as a whole. Now, you don't need to remember your how many stabs you gave each film. But I would like you to, how many stabs would you give the Final Destination franchise? And if you can you give a rating of the 5 movies, a ranking of the 5 films, if you will, now that we've seen them all? Because I know you disagree with, I believe you all disagree with how me enjoying the Final Destination 3 as much as I did. And I know we all disagree with Ali enjoying Final Destination 4 as much as he did. So I would say as a whole, I would maybe give the Final Destination franchise a 3.5 stabs out of 5. It would maybe even be 4 if it wasn't for how bad Final Destination 4 was. But that's my thoughts. And let's do the franchise as a whole, and then we'll rank movies. So Al, how many stabs would you give the franchise as a whole?
As a whole, 3.5. I think that's fair. There's a couple of highs. There's some really good bits in it. And I think anything lower than that would be doing a disservice to a couple of the films. Yeah. But equally, like you say, it would definitely be higher if you got rid of 4. Yeah.
Ali, how many stabs would you give it as a whole?
I'm gonna actually agree with you and Al.
3.5.
3.5 stars/stabs is definitely fair for the whole franchise as a whole.
Your answer, please.
Man, I don't know. I was going to say 3.5, but I don't want to look like I'm disagreeing with. I don't want to look like I'm just agreeing with everybody.
We'll take 3.5. 3.5 is a reasonable.
I mean, I can't give it any higher than that because I don't. It's nowhere near Scream's level, and I'm pretty sure I gave Scream it shouldn't be within a star of Scream.
I've got to say, I'm changing my mind on Scream. I believe I underranked Scream. Scream should be higher. I mean, even in my franchise video ranking, that's on this channel. It's the first video I released. I put Scream in the S tier. Scream 100% belongs in the S tier. But then when we discussed rankings, I think I gave it 4 stars because I knocked it down for 3. It's still higher than that, despite 3 not being great. It's still higher than that. It's 4.5.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I gave it 4. Did I give it 4, 4.5? I can't remember, but it's definitely Final Destination is definitely not within a star of that. So 3.5 seems fair.
Fair enough.
But right. if you do what I suggest and just not watch 4, then
Final Destination is much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay. So let's talk about I'm going to give you from worst to best. So worst, Final Destination 4. Absolute worst, no questions asked. I think we all agree there. But then I would say Final Destination, as in the first one. Then Final Destination. I'd maybe join 5 and 3 together, or 5, then 3, then 2. Yeah, so best to worst, would be 2, 3, 5, 1, and 4 is the worst, in my opinion. Jamie, you were just talking, so let's hear your thoughts on that, or your rankings.
So worst to best, I think it goes 4, then 3, then 5, then 1, then 2.
Okay. Al.
There's too many numbers. I'm getting confused. Right. So best 2, followed by 3, then 5, then 1, then 4.
Okay, the exact same as mine. Okay.
Was it?
Ali.
I'm gonna go from best to worst for second is the favorite for me, and going from that is 3 is the worst for me.
He's the worst.
So yeah.
What about the rest of them?
Yeah, well, you missed all the other movies.
The first is the second. The 5th is the third, and then the 4th. Yeah.
4th is the 4th.
I'm
surprised.
Yeah.
I can't believe you think the roller coaster is worse than the racetrack. I genuinely think the third one is fantastic. I think it's the.
I really enjoyed the one at the carnival and all that.
Yeah, I think it's better than the first film because I think.
Yeah.
Well, the same reason I think the second one's better. I think they've just taken the first one and ironed out the kinks and just made it better. So. Anyway.
After watching some of the other ones, the first one comes off as being a bit tame. I think that's why we're marking it down.
It's not as graphic as well, definitely, yeah. But it is the film that introduced it, and it wasn't a bad start. It just wasn't 100% sure what it wanted to be. But as a whole, I mean, 3 of us agree that the 4th one's the worst. And then there's Ali. So I think also I believe the other 3 of us all agree that if you're watching this franchise, you could skip the 4th one.
And I think we all agree that the second one is the best.
We did. We all agreed that the second one is the best. The pilot is phenomenal. Some of the deaths are great.
That scene's what before we rewatched all this. If you spoke to me about Final Destination, that scene's what I think about. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
That premonition is my favorite premonition. It's a very good film. I think the individual deaths in 3 are better than it, and the individual deaths in 5 are better than it. But the premonition from 2, plus Ali Larter's return, plus some of the other stuff, plus Brian getting blown up at the end of the barbecue. It all makes it just a better movie. So gotta give it that. But okay, so before we go, Jeffrey Reddick, the creator, has confirmed that Final Destination 6 is in the works.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
And they're looking to potentially release it or maybe just start making it next year, which will be 11 years since the last Final Destination film.
Maybe their CGI will look better.
I hope they do practical effects. I've got to say, I hope they've learned from 4 and they stick to practical stuff. Jamie, what's your thoughts on them releasing Final Destination 6?
I mean, it seems like 5 wrapped it up really nicely. They went back to Flight 180, so I don't know how they're going to. Is it going to be like a standalone thing, or?
I have no idea. They haven't said anything. It could be a reboot. It could start again from scratch. It could be a sequel. Who knows?
I mean, I've got no problem with seeing more awesome deaths, so I look forward to that. And the storyline has never been too important, so it's fine.
That's true. Ali, what's your thoughts on it?
You're saying 11 years since the last one. That's a long time to not touch a franchise again. But in saying that, look what happened with Star Wars. So They
the
left
new
that
Star
for a
Wars
long
sucks balls, man. Don't use that as a.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Don't
just
hold Star Wars.
using that as an example. I'm just using that as an example.
Cobra Kai. They brought back that
Cobra
80s.
Kai.
There's
an example.
Yeah, I know it's a
Save,
TV
Jamie.
series and not another. It's a TV series and not another movie, but you know they kick ass for that show. So.
It's mini film, so we'll count that. Yeah, I think if they're going for a sixth Final Destination film, I definitely think it'll be a revamp of the franchise.
You think it'll be a reboot?
Sequel. Okay. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on a new installment, Al?
I think they should have left it. I think they'd wrapped it up nicely. It's come full circle, and I'll watch whatever comes out. But yeah. I think it's they've done it right. They've got to sort of a natural conclusion, and now they're just milking it for money.
That's fair. But okay, I think, is there anything else you want to talk about with this franchise? Anything that I've not mentioned, Jamie? Anything?
No, I think I'm good. It's just a good time.
No, I think we've covered everything, man.
What does everyone think will be the disaster in 6?
Oh, don't answer that, because Jamie had mentioned to me previously that we should, in fact, all picture ideas for Final Destination 6. So that is going to be another video that we are going to release at some point down the line. We're going to discuss,
it could be good fun.
our premonition video. We're going to discuss what we think the premonition should be. We're going to discuss maybe some individual deaths. Who knows? We will each attempt to pitch this, and I think we'll maybe make it a competition. Maybe we'll each have to pick another player who wins. Because it's always just a bit more fun when there's a winner.
Absolutely, and there's no participation trophies here either.
There is not. You either win or you suck. So that's what we're going to do down the line. However, it is not the next video we are releasing. The next video we are releasing is the much anticipated episode 2 of the scariest quiz on YouTube, The Last Quiz on the Left. So tune in on Tuesday for that. And other than that, we will be back as always for one last scare. However, I forgot to mention, you can check out Jamie's other videos, link to his channels in the description. You can check out Ali's videos, link to his channel in the description. Click like, click thumbs up, that is the same thing. Subscribe. Click the notification bell. That's what I always forget to say. Get notified about us. Let us know in the comments if you were scared shitless. Let us know what your favorite Final Destination is. Talk to us about Final Destination. We're open to it. We'll probably reply. I'll reply at the very least. Like I said, we will be back for one last scare. And next week, we've got to say what we're covering. Next week,
is this outro ending?
Longest outro ever. Longest outro ever. Al, do you want to tell everyone what we are watching next week?
Oh, I want to know this because I don't know.
I don't remember what we're watching either.
It was your idea, you dumbass.
Was it a Crumpet?
Next week we are covering Ready or Not. The week after we will be doing Krampus because it's Christmas, as you all know. So we will be checking that out then. But we'll see you next week for Ready or Not. Outro done.